Hey yo, welcome back to the TTP Field Manual podcast. Hi Johnny.
Hi, Joshy.
Hello. Are you excited for some Maelstrom lore?
Actually, yes, I am.
Actually, yes. Excellent. Yeah, we'll be doing some Maelstrom lore today from the very recent Warhammer 40,000 supplement. I will be going through a bit of the notes version, if you will, of the 80-ish page lore tome that they put out for that. Unlike the 500 worlds, which focus quite heavily on the new Captain Titus and what he gets up to, the Maelstrom's a bit of a meandering setting book. So there'll be a lot of little bits and pieces that I think will be pretty interesting to learn about.
Well, let's do this, eh?
What are you excited about when it comes to the Maelstrom? What have you heard, or what do you expect to sort of hear from this? What's your understanding of the Maelstrom at this point?
The Maelstrom is a terrible place to be unless you're a Chaos guy, in which case it's fantastic.
It's kind of bad for everyone, if I'm being honest.
No. It's fantastic. You get to become a big boy.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into exactly how much of a big boy you get to be in the Maelstrom. So, what is the Maelstrom?
Good question.
You know, what is this Maelstrom word that keeps popping up? Where is it? What is it? Why is it? The Maelstrom is more or less just a really big warp storm, and it's very close to the galactic center. And since the Great Rift occurred, cleaving the galaxy in twain, the Maelstrom itself has also been a bit juiced up. It ebbs and it flows sort of in and out around the Great Rift. It's really close by to Sartorius. I think that's how you pronounce it. But the planet of the sorcerers, if you've heard of that one, Johnny.
Yeah, I might have heard of that one.
You might have heard of the Thousand Suns fortress that they relocated to real space? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Maelstrom, it's not entirely a warp storm. The term interstice is thrown around quite a lot in this book because the Maelstrom, it's sort of both reality and the warp with little pockets of in the middle existence, which makes the Maelstrom particularly challenging of a location. It is constantly shifting. It is unthinkable in all of its various secrets and vastness. No one will ever be able to really conquer it in its entirety. There are mysteries that will never be learned about. You know, it's just not good. It's not a good place.
Mm-hmm.
The Aeldari refer to it as the Gulf of Nightmares.
Oh, I like that name.
Yeah, that paints a better picture. They think of it like that. So maybe don't go there.
Yeah, maybe not.
But the Maelstrom itself is positioned in the galaxy, definitely before the Great Rift, in a really annoying spot because it was placed around like a lot of the really important shipping routes, warp routes, all the various highways, if you will, that the Imperium would use to navigate the galaxy, send resources along. And then with the ebbing and flowing of the Maelstrom and people like the Red Corsairs, the area has just become like avoid it at all costs. Do not go near it. Do not go into it. If you do, good luck. We're not helping you. Now, we will get to the Corsairs themselves, both the Red Corsairs of Chaos and the Aeldari Corsairs. They will come a little bit later in the episode. I'm sort of explaining the lore of this by the actual structure of the book itself.
Okay.
But the Maelstrom is indeed the Red Corsairs' sort of hub of activity. It's their crown of power. It is where you'll find them. But they are not, how would I put this? Their sort of fortresses are only small little fragments of the entirety of the Maelstrom. We have several regions that are outlined in the book. We've got the Rad Marches, we've got the Great Legion, we've got the Howling Gaia, we've got the Parakaya Helix, we've got the Zildwire Crevasse, the Tyrant's Crown, the Venatorian Caldera, and Mournhollow.
Ooh, Mournhollow. I love that.
What peaceful sounding places, am I right?
I don't know if peaceful's the term I'd use, but sure. There's definitely some terrible sounding places.
Let's start with Mournhollow since you had an actual reaction. So the idea about Mournhollow is that it's believed at the core of Mournhollow is possibly an Aeldari world of old that is just caught in this whole interstitial, not reality, not warp. Everyone who kind of goes into this region experiences, whether through the Vox or through their own sort of warp-based psychic awareness, just almost unending stuff. Hallucinations, psychotemporal screams is said to just drift through the currents of space in the region, whatever that means. You know, you're just there and you just hear in the back of your brain just screams, like dying screams of people. It is described as a place where soul misery occurs. You're just there, and at your very core of your being, you're just depressed, you're miserable, you're just overwhelmed with negative emotions. And on top of that, it is said that the region is infested with, and I quote, semi-empiric neural predators. In English?
Define.
I would not be surprised if these are referring to the creatures known as enslavers. Enslavers are a warp-based parasite that basically pop out of the warp and suck the life essence out of very psychically attuned individuals. The more you use your psychic stuff, the more they appear. They are psycho leeches, but they fly and they're huge and they're crazy.
They have the anti-psycho 2-up keyword.
They do. So that's Mournhollow. It's pretty nice, right? We want to go there, yeah.
Fantastic destination to holiday.
Nothing beats a jet to holiday to Mournhollow. Had to do it.
Oh, that's going to be real fun for you to have to edit.
Easy. I'll fix it in post. Where do you want to go next on your journey through the Maelstrom, Jonny?
You could pick the next one.
I love the Zildwire crevasse.
All right, cool. The Zildwire crevasse.
It's described, much like how a crevasse is, as a giant crack, but in reality. So it is said that, you know, you'll be going through space, or you'll be traveling the warp currents, and then there's just a ginormous crack. And there are tales of void ships falling over the edge, never to be seen again, which is crazy because in space you can usually go in all directions, but the crevasse is like, nope, you're falling into nothingness now, bye. And it said that if you were to peer into it a little bit, like, you know, peek over the edge, you could just see fragments of torn up stars just glinting deep down in the distance. I don't know about that one. That one terrifies me, actually. At least with Mournhollow, you can be like, yeah, dead people screams, ghosts and stuff, cool. But you look at the crevasse like, how do I get out of there?
Sounds absolutely awful. Terrible place to be.
You. Well, here's a fun one for you. The Venatorian Caldera. It is a place of broken things. So the Venatorian Caldera is called such because there was a Admech Forge World, and of course it's always Admech, isn't it?
It's always Admech.
It's always bloody Admech. They had a Forge World called Venatoria. They were trying to create these sort of cage-like fields where they could alter reality itself. And what they were doing was try to basically make essentially like a Necron Blackstone pylon, but of Imperium design, where they could effectively shut off the warp, like push it away so that they could really stabilize this whole region of like the Maelstrom, at least the outer components of it. So all the shipping routes and stuff are doable, you know. It backfired because there was a saboteur cabal of individuals that made it go wrong. Essentially, Venatoria decided to become unreality. The whole region just became this scar of gravity and empiric stuff and reality fabrics, just not quite right anymore, where nebulae themselves would just splinter apart and get sent out elsewhere. Planets would embed themselves into one another. Stars would go into full-on phasic flux, so the whole stability of stars would just wobble and thrash around. Not good.
Not good at all.
Not good at all. So we've had 3 locations so far. Are you in? Do you want to go on another adventure? Do you want that adventure to be the Maelstrom, Jonny?
Probably not.
Where do you want to go next?
Oh, what other options were there again?
Rad Marshes, Great Legion, Howling Gaia, Parakaya Helix, and the Tyrant's Crown.
Let's go to the Halakira Helix, I believe it was.
I actually don't really know how it's pronounced. Parachia, Parakaya, Parachia, I don't know. It's one of those words which I don't know if it's actually a word. But
Oh no.
the Parakaya Helix, as they're calling it, it's an interesting one. This is like the safe area, but only if you're traveling. You can travel through it quite easily, but if you're going to go into a fight, like a void ship battle, or if you're trying to pivot your destination mid-journey, good bloody luck. This is a place where plotting vectors and firing solutions and moving things around becomes almost meaningless. The concept of mathematics is out the window here. Time and space does not adhere to conventional plannings of anything. You'll fire your gun that way, but the bullet goes the other way. It's just not, just don't fight there.
Okay.
So this is actually a place where a lot of pirates travel through, such as the Red Corsairs. They recognize this place as a relative, place of safety to travel through. They don't have psychotemporal predators and they don't have a crevasse to worry about. They're just going through like, let's just not fight each other right now. It won't work.
It sure won't.
One of my favorite ones, the Great Legion.
Yeah, that was gonna be the next one I chose, I think.
The next one?
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds quite inviting, doesn't it?
Mm.
Great Legion. It is named such because it is a shadowed realm. It is unable to be discerned through warp divination. If you were to look at it on a map, it's just shadow. This area is populated by stars that are rich in what is considered to be unlight, with stars known as negatars and planets such as umbral giants being this inverse of light, creating abnormal shadows and obscuring things. Basically, just this shadowy realm. I like to think of the Maelstrom as the underworld of the galaxy, and the Great Legion is the shadowiest of depths, if you will.
Nice.
Nice. Yeah, I love the Maelstrom.
So what else is there about this Maelstrom other than locations?
Well, there are two locations that are a bit more looked into. They get their own little spread.
Okay.
Both the Tyrant's Crown and the Howling Gaia, which I'm really impressed we didn't go into them by accident ahead of time.
Hey, I gotta stick to the guns here, you know?
Oh my god. There's a quote in this book that's attributed to Huron himself. Want to know what the quote says?
Something raid, something pillage, something plunder.
Gets better than that. Remind them that the Tyrant's big guns never tire.
Hey, how does big guns never tire work?
You love that rule.
It's up there with consolidating.
Yeah, soon to be much easier.
Well, we'll see.
Let's have a look at the Tyrant's Crown. This is the place of the Red Corsairs. This is, by and large, their seat of power. Well, Huron's seat of power, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
The Tyrant's Crown consists of a whopping 23 systems.
Oh, damn. I thought it was going to be like one planet.
No. So, all of the Red Corsairs are sort of treated as just chaos pirates. Bad dudes, we don't like them, but they hide in that place we can't really deal with. Oh, well. They're not much of a threat. Well, boy, howdy. There's a lot of them.
Enough to get their own release wave.
True that. So in the Tyrant's Crown, there's a few places that are examined a bit more in detail, where we have New Badab, where hundreds of... Yeah, New Badab, not Old Badab, New Badab.
What happened to Old Badab? Did it get bombed?
I'll have a quick mention of what happened with Old Badab when we get down to Old Huron, but New Badab is said to have hundreds of thousands of warriors populating bastions and fortifications that are filled with billions of slaves, dockyards and such lining all of the parts of the planet, defense networks able to fire half a solar system away. Don't go there. You're not going to survive it. There's the Broken Narrows, which is the route itself to the Crown World, which is filled with what are considered rogue planets, untethered to star systems, themselves having been built up with defense stations or warp sorceries to be just quite literally planetoid defense batteries that you have to navigate to get to Nubadab in the first place.
Okay.
There's Hell's Iris, an ex-Imperial star fort that is more or less smack bang in the middle of a bunch of various warp routes. So it's like Tortuga, Pirates of the Caribbean, Tortuga, with all the... Is Tortuga the pirate haven? Am I getting that right?
Sure.
Pirate haven. It's black markets, it's bounty halls, it's dark alleys with all manner of merchants and services. It's pirate hub.
That's a wild decision to call it.
Hell's Iris? Yeah.
No, pirate hub.
Yeah. They have NordVPN, not sponsored.
Pirate VPN.
There's Corsairs Keep, which is, would you believe it, a Blackstone fortress.
Of course it is.
Gifted by old Abbey. Old Abbey himself gifted the Blackstone fortress.
Yep.
This is the fortress that Bobby G was trapped inside, that Cypher and his Harley Quinn friends busted him out of.
Nice.
But the thing about Blackstone fortresses is that they're old. They are huge.
Very, very old.
And they have their own sort of weird ecosystems that bleed into the warp and the webway. And so the Corsairs might have control of the space station with guns and defense systems for days. But the deeper you go inside, the more the layout changes, the more weird and wacky Xenos show up. And Corsairs themselves use it as a bit of a hunting ground, but they usually just go too deep and are lost forever, never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. So
the Blackstone Fortress is there, but how much do they really control it? They haven't been able to actually turn it back on. They don't really know how, but it's there, looking all menacing in space. And then, less interesting, is a ginormous naval refit station called the Carfast Anchorage, where all the Red Corsairs drive their little boats in and go, "Arr, I stole this ship, can ya fix it for me?" So that's a brief glimpse of the Tyrant's crown. Now we have the Howling Gaia, which is the campaign system setting. This is where the raid and ruin stuff is sort of themed around. Because the Howling Gaia is relatively stable, and more or less everyone's got a piece of this pie. But there are some fun stuff nonetheless. There are some pretty nice stuff. Can I introduce you, Jonny, to the world of Galmec, the Shrine of Iron?
Cool sounding name.
Yeah. This is the Word Bearer's second largest base of operations outside of Sycharis, which is Lorgar's little home base in the warp. So yeah, this is where their number 2 is. Galmec is a nightmare. The whole thing is a temple hive forge world thing. There are temples to the skies, there are underground forges, there are laboratories where the Iron Warriors work as subcontractors, where they are farming demon forges across miles of summoning circles, where word bearers are hubbity-bubbity bringing demons in, and the Iron Warriors are putting them into machines. This is a world where there are Chaos Knight households also upon the planet. It's crazy.
Everyone's got to be included.
Everyone's got to be included. There are towers to the skies that then branch off as docking fields for spaceships. The host star of the system, as well as the hundreds of orbiting moons and asteroids, have been ritualistically adjusted to orbit in unholy formations, with demons themselves being bound to the moons, who then end up psychically relaying their secrets of the universe and what they see in the void to the priests standing in their high towers upon the world. There are denizens praying in their billions to summon entities, but because of all this unholy stuff, the demons first emerge as like shadowy, billowy, wispy things that if the citizens look upon them, they are just snatched up and taken away, never to be seen again. It's not good. It's not a good place to go.
I don't know. It sounds like a great time. They're having a good party, and occasionally someone disappears.
See, that's Galmech. It's sort of the triple factor for you, isn't it? Iron Warriors,
Yep.
Chaos Knights, some Word Bearers.
Everyone's there.
Everyone is there. Who else is in the Howling Gaia? There's Kacholis, the last Necron tomb world of the Vorzak dynasty. But the planet is a little bit tainted by the warp because the Noctilith barriers that push the warp away have begun to fail. So the landscape is filled with Necron constructs merging with demonic artifice. Warriors are fighting.
Oh, I want to see that.
Yeah, there's not a really good picture, but the picture in the book has these huge, like, flying scarab things that have been tortured into just statues in the middle of the sky, and demons are flocking from it, and I hate to be there too, I guess.
No. Give me flesh metal Necrons.
I agree. That'd be really fun.
That'd put a new twist on Flayed One.
Yeah, it would. Demon Necrons. Make it happen.
Yep.
We've got Fargo's Hex, which is a teleporting planet from the Pale Stars, which is basically the Eldritch horror side of the galaxy, where you just don't worry about it. It's not worth going and dealing with the problems. It's the old part of the galaxy where untold horrors persist a lot. Yeah, but Fargo's Hex.
Sometimes you got to cut your losses.
Yeah, it's don't worry about that one. You'd rather go to the Maelstrom on a average day than go into the Pale Stars. So Fargo's Hex is a teleporting planet. Wherever it appears, it is a fell omen. It causes catastrophe to the system that it emerges within. The planet itself broadcasts pleas for help, while gravity and the warp around it throughout the whole system is just permeated into corruption and misalignment. The pleas themselves are said to be instead predatory entities luring them in, like, I guess you could say, like the anglerfish with the little strobe light that comes from its head.
Yeah, yep.
So like that. It's like, come help us.
No.
But wherever it appears, it sort of casts this pall of twilight throughout the system. Piratical raiders and Xenos raiders just hunt the systems like sport, avoiding Fargo's Hex. But imagine you're just an Imperial citizen on this world, and all of a sudden the lights in the sky dim, the atmosphere starts to feel weird, and then there are demons howling over the vocals, and then there are Chaos Space Marines hunting you for sport. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. There's two more I've got for you for the Howling Gaia.
Okay.
There is Bathamor, a demon world, which is described as having rivers of fire, crystal jungles, fractal floating peaks, iridescent slurry across the landscape, where smaller heretic warbands essentially trade power with the demons and build up their own bases on this world because they're maybe a little bit smaller and need whatever allies they can, so they choose the demons of Bathamor. It's cooked.
Okay.
And the other one's Null Bastion, an Inquisition stronghold of all things.
Excuse me, what?
Yeah, they're here.
You don't belong here.
The Null Bastion has heaps of wards and defenses that kind of just keeps people away. They're like, oh, we won't worry about it. It's hard to deal with that. You Umis can have it. But yes, it's overseen by the Inquisition, where very secretive forces are sent out with basically the task, help us to understand what on the Emperor's Green Earth is going on here. We need information desperately.
I feel like this is one of those places where you just give up.
Yeah.
Why are we fighting over the Maelstrom? It sounds like a terrible place to care about.
Yeah, absolutely. So this has all been the sort of setting the stage pages of the book, but there's heaps of these little annotations around the maps that are the various like Inquisition servants saying, my lady, I am apologizing for the incompletion of the data presented to you. We have already lost so many astropaths. We have had people that we've had to put down because they opened their mind to discern the Maelstrom's ebbs and tides, and they wouldn't stop screaming, my lady. It's like, why are you bothering?
Give up. Just let them have it.
Yeah, the Imperium, too bloody stubborn. Just give it up.
They have to own everything. They can't just give it up.
How do you like the setting of Maelstrom, Johnny? That's a lot of the wear of the setting. What do you think so far?
Seems like a pretty bad place to be fighting, whether you're on either side. And it seems like a terrible place to really even come to and care about.
It's just such a place where whatever you expect is just undone.
Yeah.
Whoever you trust betrays you so they can survive. It's just not good. They have a couple of pages following this which are extremely small little logs and journal entries of things that have happened over the years around the Maelstrom, including the whole Badab thing, but also little excerpts such as, space wolves were caught in a trap only to be betrayed by their own, backed into a corner, turning to Huron in service as the Red Wolves renegade warband. You're like, oh fuck, the space wolves turned traitor in some capacity? Like, how bad was it?
I mean, they didn't turn traitor. They saw the truth.
Sure, we'll go with that. There's an excerpt about Huron assaulting Chagoras from the Maelstrom. He just poked his head out and attacked Chagoras, which is the White Scars' homeworld, which meant that the White Scars had to leave Armageddon, where they were having a good time on their bikes, to go home and defend.
They've been pretty quiet, White Scars. You don't hear a lot about what White Scars are doing nowadays.
So the Hell's Reach book we've just covered for our book club?
Sure do.
So that series of books, the Space Marine battles, the later ones have so much White Scars. There's White Scars hunting Big Demon Prince with Voldorius. We've talked about him briefly.
Yeah.
Like, that's a whole book. The whole Damocles thing with the White Scars and the Raven Guard, like, that's a whole book there. There's a book, the Gildar Rift. That's a Huron novel. There's that Huron assaulting Chagoras is also another one of those Space Marine battles, but it's like much later in the series of releases, so no one talks about it.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is, I'm the only person who has no idea what they're doing.
Well, I mean, I can't tell you exactly what they're doing, but they are one of those chapters that really do go under the radar. Like, people know about them. They got artwork.
Yeah.
They got a model here and there, but they're not really in the main story. They're in the side plots.
They're doing stuff, but yeah.
My favorite little anecdote from the Annals is something from the Zildwire crevasse. It said that at some point there was these strange probes illuminating from the crevasse. There was meaningless data screed coming out from the region, strange beacons of light emanating from deep within. And then, lo and behold, kin vessels, Leagues of Votan, in vessels ancient, older than most anything else, with logos that no one could figure out, rose up from the depths, bleeding exotic ooze and warp esoteric energy for fuel. And they're just like, job done. And just went on with their life. Like, huh?
What?
Yeah. I don't know if the crevasse happened while they're already in the region or if they went in there themselves, but the kin, and it's not the only mention throughout this book, but the Leagues of Votan, like the various dwarfs, they're just like, no worries, and they'll just go do an expedition into these various places to go get rare minerals, to just sort of go for a little drive, whatever, and they'll just emerge from the Zildwire crevasse, go mine a demon world. They're like, I don't care, it's resources, man.
Just go mine a demon world.
Yeah. Doesn't usually
These guys are crazy.
Yeah, it usually doesn't go like too well for them, but they're very like, warp lacking. They're not really corruptible in that sense. So they're just rock and stoning it just in the Maelstrom as well.
I love that.
Because the Maelstrom's really close to the galactic core, which is where a lot of the Leagues of Votan are. And with the Great Rift pushing the Votan in and around the place, the Maelstrom bleeding in and out of the core like any other storm would ebb and flow. It's not too crazy that there'll just be kin vessels just caught in it all, like, oh well, another day, another dollar.
Rock and stone.
Rock and demon stones, brother. So yeah, that's kind of the where of the setting. We now get into a bit of the who.
Okay.
The who of the setting.
Everyone.
So before it gets into the big new models, it does have a little bit of a spiel on the who's who here, like who you can expect to run into that hasn't already been alluded to already. So naturally, there are lots of heretics.
That's the way it should be.
Absolutely.
They're not heretics, they're truthers.
There's so many heretics, such as the warband known as the Razored Mane, who are considered bestial, even by the standards of Marines, which I don't know what that means. Maybe they're also furries, who knows? There's Queen Ivar's Black Fangs, which are a group of traitor guardsmen that are all cannibals. There are Emperor's...
Cannibals is not okay.
No, it's not okay. There are Emperor's children enjoying the prolonged hunts of the region's real hardy survivalist denizens. They're like, oh, good challenge. These people know how to really survive some crap. It's going to make this even more fun.
Good scrap. That's crazy.
It is pretty crazy. There's a warband known as the Thranotic Choir of the Emperor's Children that, let's just say, get off on the vibrations of Mournhollow, where they hunt Aeldari for sport.
I mean,
Yeah,
fair. The Aeldari tastes good when they're dead.
All the region's warp phenomena are just like tickling them pretty. They like it a lot. The Night Lords are here. There's a couple of Night Lords warbands, including one known as the Skin Twixt.
Ugh.
Yeah. So the Red Corsairs love to raid and hunt and pillar and butcher and stuff, but the Night Lords are, funnily enough, just better at it.
Well,
And they have this whole no masters vibe.
they've been doing it a lot longer.
Yeah. So the Night Lords don't see the Corsairs as allies or threats. They are just like another piece of the ecosystem. So they will themselves raid and butcher and other stuff Red Corsair vessels, to the point where Huron put out bounties on Night Lords, be like, these guys suck, go get them, please. But then the very first Merc captains that tried to do that were then found later on completely peeled open and then stitched back together in new forms.
Oh no.
Night Lords were like, don't do it. Don't worry. Don't try it.
Man, Night Lords are so chaotic pilled.
And they get better than that.
How did anyone not be like, yeah, the Night Lords definitely turned?
Yeah, the writing was really on the wall with those guys.
Yeah.
But the Night Lord warbands, funnily enough, have little sporty competitions against one another to see just how much suffering they can inflict on worlds. They will basically do psyop warfare. They will create cults. They will pit the cults against one another. They will use various methods to create things such as artificial eclipses, which they set up as being these divine portents for the cults they themselves rose up, only to all of a sudden emerge, kill the demagogues, and declare that their beliefs were a lie, which just sends them all into confusion and anarchy. And as the cults all fight each other across the hive cities, the Night Lord's like,
You know, I never understood Night Lord Chaos cultists. I understand a lot of the time when you've got these like superhuman warriors that worship gods, and you're like, yeah, cool, I'll come along for a piece of the pie. But the Night Lords, that's like, you have to be a special kind of sadistic to be like, yeah, that's a cool idea.
I think with a lot of Night Lords cultists, they don't really have like too much of a choice.
Like, follow us or we will skin you.
Yeah, basically. In Aaron Dembski Bowden's Night Lords trilogy, the main character has a servant called Decimus, not because his name's Decimus, but because he's number 10.
My lord.
And he's actually like really loyal. And early in the series, they basically are raiding this world because they ran out of navigators for their ships. So they raid a navigator household and then they abduct this young woman. And the main character is saying to his servant, like, can you, like, ease her into our lifestyle, please? I kind of need her alive and not running away so that our ship can go places. And
ease her in. I don't know how you ease someone into filleting and torturing people.
But then there's a couple of chapters where the guy is walking her through the underbelly of the ship, and it's just full of people just living out this small underworld ecosystem and community with market stands and stuff. Like, they just have jobs to go cycle the fuel, reload the ammunition, And any of them that had earned the favor of a Night Lord have these special medallions that mark them as safe from being hunted by other Night Lords. And
I feel like by the time that you get to tell the Night Lords, don't hunt me, I'm a friend, you're already dead.
yeah, but the woman's like, what? Why are you for this? To the human character Despis, like, why? Like, why not just not do this? And Despis is like, well, I'm not excusing their behavior, ma'am, but, if you just do what they say, they have no need to harm you. They're a little bit weak. They need help, but they won't admit it.
I'll leave you the hell alone.
Yeah, so that's some Night Lords for you.
It's just so wild to me that people would be like, yeah, those guys, they're fine.
Yeah. There's just so much going on in the Maelstrom. There's a name drop of a dark mechanic as Forge World. Ooh.
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 If only they had models.
If only they had models. There are, of course, orc freebooters who are mainly of things like freebooters or even like Death Skulls as a clan. There's a Death Skulls world known as Wrecker's World, which is...
Oh, yeah. Is it led by someone named Wrecker?
Probably. It's at the nexus of various warp rifts that spew various wrecks into the void. And so the Death Skull's like, oh yes, good loot. And turn all of the vessels into their vessels or build up. It's insane. Wrecker's World is like a completely decked out orc fortress bastion of guns and ships. It's quite hilarious to think about.
Yeah, it sure is.
There's a Necron pirate, if you can believe that, called Thazar.
I thought you were going to say his name is Trazen. He loves to steal shit.
Well, no, Thazar is like super antagonistic, where he will raid other Necron tomb worlds of their riches before they've woken up, or even if they've woken up, he doesn't care. He's just like the sole survivor of the nobility of his tomb world. He's like, I'm going pirating.
I gotta go regather my forces from someone else.
Oh, yeah. There are Tyranid high fleets in the Maelstrom.
I mean, with all that biomass around, that I'm not surprised of.
Yes, but Jonny, they can't do the warp. Tyranids are like unable to interact with the warp. What happened was that they were gobbling up Baal, the Blood Angels world, and then the Great Rift occurred, which just pushed them out of the way and into the Maelstrom. So now you'll be like...
And now they're just stuck there.
You'll be navigating Night Lords and Corsairs and some Necron dude, and then all of a sudden, Tyranids...
They don't belong here.
No.
This was meant to be Nid-free.
No, exactly. But even like demons have characters. There's a couple of excerpts of a demonic oracle named Portentus who is trapped within a world, unable to leave it, and people do pilgrimage to Portentus to get a portent.
That sounds like a horror of some kind.
Yeah, right.
Zinch pilled if I've ever heard it.
Yeah, right. That's a lot of the lesser who of the Maelstrom. Are you even more excited to go there now?
I mean, at least there's people to see. There's famous people everywhere around here.
Speaking of famous people, there's a lot of Red Corsairs.
Oh. There sure are.
So, having read through the Red Corsair stuff, I've come to the conclusion that the Red Corsairs are a renegade Ponzi scheme.
Here we go.
Because the Maelstrom sucks. Resources are so low. The Red Corsairs and all pirates have to raid and pillage because they've got airfall ammunition, power, food. Some parts of the Maelstrom lack oxygen, so they need air, like canistered air. And so what tends to happen is that various Astartes and trader guardsmen turn tail from the Imperium for whatever reason, only to kind of realize like they are worse off than they were before. Before they had Imperium-sanctioned Forge World drop-offs, they had Gene Seed stuff, they had Fortress Monasteries, like they had stuff, but then they got disillusioned with the whole Imperium, left, or maybe they were just not many left, or maybe they got turned into a corner, and so now they're heretical. But then they realize, oh, we've got nothing. We've got nothing here except what's on our back. But there are excerpts of lone Astartes going mad, armor unable to be repaired just becomes deactivated without power and it's just dead weight. And so what actually happens is the Red Corsairs have these like propaganda machines when you enter the Maelstrom that's basically Huron being like, this is my realm. You will fall in line or be crushed under my boots. he's real Blackbeardy. And so
Yeah.
people just pray in a sense that they end up making an ally, whether it's Dark Mech, Demons, Red Corsairs. But most of the various like Reeve captains, new model, are just like client warlords of Huron. They're not really Red Corsairs, they just wear the colors and are basically like all little splinters of an idea of just renegades. And the more they prove themselves, the more stuff they gain. But if they go against Huron, they'll just be cut down, which leaves like a power vacuum for lesser people to hop into. And it's so cutthroat. Like, it's not even a cohesive whole. At least with Abaddon as Black Legion, he's like, all of us are against the Imperium. And in the Maelstrom, it's like, no, you have to prove that you're worth your place in this little empire. How's that make you feel, Jonny? Do you want to be a Red Corsair?
You know, it doesn't sound too bad. You get to do your own thing. There's looting and booting and scooting. There could be worse fates. You could be a cultist for a Night Lord's faction.
That is true. That's definitely true. Let's have a look at old Huron himself, eh? We've been waiting a little bit to look at a bit of Huron himself, to give the TLDR of how he became a bad boy.
He copped a melter to the face.
Yeah, he really did. He and a few of his various friends that to this day are heretics from once loyal chapters were in charge of the Badab sector. They were sort of the, wardens of the Maelstrom, preventing the pirates and all of that stuff from branching out and doing dirty to the Imperium. Naturally, Imperium wants tithes, they want resources, they want men, they want whatever. But of course, with the influx of warp energy, the Maelstrom gets more deadly. With more Xenos threats, the area gets more hard to bring under control. And so Huron starts this sort of mentality of, get it from someone else. I'm busy. And after enough of this, it starts to get to this point where the Imperium's like, this guy's going to secede. He's going to get away from us. He's going to do his own thing. Whereas Huron is just like, mate, I'm telling you, I am thinly pressed here. I am doing all I can to do the job you're getting me to do, and that's defend this area. I cannot do that if you're taking my stuff to go send it elsewhere, okay? And then the Imperium's like, no, I don't understand that one bit. You must be some sort of traitor. You must be, disciplined. And so what ends up happening is this very protracted campaign where various other Astartes chapters are brought in to go basically bring them in line, swap them out, give them some time on the bench,
Yep.
But Huron's like, you motherfuckers think I'm some kind of fucking traitor? I'll show you that I am one then. If that's how you're going to paint me, I will live up to your expectations. Get 'em, boys. And then just persuades all of his friends to sort of turn renegade with him. But eventually, he does get pushed back into the Maelstrom. He does get melted to the face and needs to lick his wounds. And so, once again, the Imperium created its own threat. Yay.
I love spite as a weapon.
Dude is so spiteful. He's a bit too angry to die. His resurrection basically has got some people so spooked they think he's maybe like a ghost or a demon or something, like he shouldn't have survived. But he did. He's half cyborg now, though. But he's so motivated by hatred and spite that it's almost like he and the Maelstrom have formed some sort of symbiotic connection. Huron can understand it in a way. He knows sort of when to back off because of warp phenomena. He knows where to travel through because it's karma. He sort of knows how to turn the nature of it to his advantage. He has a little doggy, which is a psychic companion creature from the warp. It's on his model. It's called the Hamadrya.
Yeah, it is.
The Hamadrya
It's adorable.
is sort of like his psychic link to things. He has this sort of ability to sort of meditate and just sort of figure things out without needing to elaborate much. But he rules with an iron grip, with a tyrant's claw, one might say. He and all his buddies As soon as they got into the Maelstrom, they overwhelmed the first pirate stronghold they came across and then just dominoed from there. They just got bigger and bigger and bigger, killing people who threatened their rule, allowing people who bowed to them to join up with them. And now look what happened. But he hires all, he kills all, he's hired Drakari, he's hired orcs, he's killed Drakari, he's killed orcs, he doesn't care. He commands all, in a sense, it's his empire. Yeah, that's Huron, in a nutshell.
Seems fitting.
He's got some friendos, though.
Yeah, everyone needs friendos.
He's got friendos. He's got that evil-looking apothecary, Garyon the Corpse Master.
Oh, one of the sickest fucking models they've released in a while. I love that guy, but also he makes me shiver.
Yeah, he's super evil, and I would say he makes Fabius look like a gentleman.
Yeah, he sure does.
It's said that he can basically revive just about anyone, but he tends to prefer just experimenting on them. You know, you're too far gone. Oh, I may as well see what happens if I apply this poison to your still alive skin.
While you can't stop me.
Yeah, here's the guy that brought Huron back. He brings back people from the brink all the time. He's in charge of the limited gene seed that's from the Red Corsairs original chapter, the Astral Claws. He's got some of their gene seed. He husbands it. He modifies it. He grows it. He loves gene seed. Actually, he loves seeing what's happening to people from all various walks of life. But he's so feared that some people prefer to go to Fabius or the Dark Mech or aliens or even have a sorcerer heal them. They prefer that over Garyon.
Yep. No, same.
No, thank you. No, thank you, Garyon.
No, thank you.
There is Qatar Garrix, the headsman, with the big axe, an axe that leaves crevasses, not cuts. This guy's like a dog. He's extremely simple-minded, doesn't talk much, he just likes killing. He will just stand in the room with Huron, thinking about rabbits or something, and then Huron will just flick of the wrist. That Reeve captain over there is pissing me off, and Garrix will just leap over the table like a feral beast, brandish the axe, and off with the head. Simple. Clean, dead.
Dude's a nutcase.
Yeah. It's said that Garrix would probably kill Huron if not for Huron giving him people to kill. Just likes killing. He just wants to do it all day long.
I mean, at least he knows what he wants.
Yeah. Garyon was also an Astral Claw and was one of Huron's oldest allies, but Garrix was from the Executioners chapter, so the writing was on the wall there.
Man, they really don't mess around with these chapter names, do they?
No. There's Garlon Soul Eater, the Psyker, who looks really cool with his little helmet.
Yep.
Garlon Soul Eater is an old Mantis warrior librarian who is now a Chaos Sorcerer. This guy, he's not overly aggressive. He's not doom bolting your face left and right, but he is, by all accounts, the spy master of the Red Corsairs. This guy walks inside other people's minds. He can implant seeds of treachery in guardsmen bastions ahead of a fleet arrival, only to arrive to find that the guardsmen have turned on themselves. He can unpick spells being sent his way. He can read all thoughts. He is just like a parasite in the minds of all. And he doesn't apparently take his helmet off, potentially because he doesn't have a face anymore. Maybe he's so warp-tainted that his face is just demonic as all get up now. Who knows?
I mean, maybe the helmet's fused to his skull.
Also possible.
He can't take it off even if he wanted to.
But of all the characters we've got here, to me, the most interesting one is the human, Captain Sargota, the woman on the disc.
Very cool model as well.
This is another example of the Imperium makes its own threats.
Of course it is.
So Captain Sargota was an extremely talented Saturnine pilot, a flight yards of Saturn, school of Saturn ability, very in demand pilots.
Yeah.
She was really skilled. She was so in demand, but she was a woman, When her vessel was overrun by Xenos raiders, all of the men in her family tried to scapegoat her as, the weak link, the threat to the safety of their fleets, And boy, she was not impressed with this. So instead, she decided to leave the family and strike out on her own. As she ends up interacting with a certain bunch of raiders, she just casually transmits a bunch of old Imperial base codes, locations, flight paths, and all of her old comrades and family members were just massacred, plundered, raided. From then, she has really just proven herself as the one capable human, with Huron being like, all right, you're in. You can stay.
You did good, girl. You did good.
She's so skilled that Huron doesn't even care if she feels particularly offended by another fleet master and will decide that their vessel needs to be blown up by a nice little gift of vortex mines. Huron will just be like, yeah, they probably deserve it, hey? Oh well, moving on.
Oh, why would they dumb enough to piss her off?
Exactly. But when she does go onto the battlefield, her little dais can command the orbital weaponry from the battlefield. She can hack ground vehicles. She's pretty cool.
She seems it.
But what about Jonny, the Tyrellian dog soldier?
I love this guy.
I think it's a woman, but it's hard to tell. So the Enforcer is...
the goodest of boys.
Sure. The Tyrellian mercenary known as the Enforcer is the fear in the hearts of men. You hear that the Enforcer's after you and you just poop yourself and blow your own dome. This person is very unhinged. They were once a member of a mercenary company of all Tyrellians. Their leadership was murdered by Huron, so they joined up with Huron, and then most of the company turned traitor against Huron when it was revealed that some of their old leadership survived. The Enforcer did not think this was particularly loyal of an activity, as they were now with Huron, and so as a sort of sacrificial offering to Huron, she systematically hunted down and killed every last one of her old allies.
Nice.
Her little doggy is the creature responsible for her not having an arm and now having a little robotic arm. And so long as she can keep sicking her dog on someone, she feels pretty confident that she will be allowed to live in the eyes of this evil dog. But as the dog grows up, she's pretty aware that the dog will probably just eat her at the first chance it gets. And I'm thinking, man, this crew of people suck. They just suck. They're all going to just kill each other one day.
There's no loyalty in Renegades.
Absolutely not. There's not a single pip. Like, Garion's lore excerpt says, yeah, Huron would probably kill him if he didn't do his job. The headsman's like, yeah, he'd probably kill Huron if Huron didn't give him people to kill. The Enforcer's dog will kill her one day. It's like, guys, come on.
Do we have to always backstab each other?
But there's other, like, little characters as well. There's Lord Drak Terrazar, the Iron Reeve, who doesn't have their own model, but they are an old Iron Hand dude who was censured by his chapter for accidentally killing too many Imperials in an engagement. And instead of being like, fine, I admit I was in the wrong, he's like, excuse me, humans suck. They are a flawed species. We shouldn't have to skirt around their weakness. And so left to become a...
typical Astartes.
Yeah, typical Iron Hand Astartes. So he left to become a much more evil, unhinged general. He's like, you can't censure me, I'll exile myself. There's such spite.
Such spite. Again, there's just so much spite in this Maelstrom.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's an entity known as the Crimson Choir, Geist of the Rad Marchers, who is a preacher Astartes who uses faith to weaponize his various Corsairs into hunting other Astartes, good and evil ones, to farm their gene seeds as a tithe so that they can maintain Huron's good graces. But he doesn't ever tell him where all of his gene seeds are, so that Huron won't just come and take them all and like remove him from the picture as some sort of upstart rival. Yeah.
I mean, you got to have contingencies in place, right?
Oh, yeah. There's Balemaster Veerless Creel, Enslaver of the Ark. Yeah. Some mastermind fellow who's just like, oh, look, a rogue Ark of Omen has entered the Maelstrom. I want it. And then he and his little warband just overtook it, just made the Ark of Omen their own. It's theirs now.
That is very pirate.
Yeah, it's their Ark. Get over it, Bashdor. It's mine now. And there's also General Henrik Folkbriar, the Black Wolf. Oh, look, it's a classic tale of Imperium creating its own enemies. So, Henrik was a guardsman captain who was known for being super vicious, super evil, in a sense, but really damn good at his job of beating back the oppressors on the front lines. That's all he wanted to do. He wanted to lead the front lines. He wanted to go out there and push the enemies of the Imperium back, and not in a way that allows them to get back up again. But instead, he was tasked with anti-piracy measures. And despite him basically like, I want to do frontline stuff, his senior ups were like, no, Henrik, we've got to teach you restraint. And so Henrik was like, grumble, grumble. Piracy, hey, what's this about? Oh, this seems kind of fun. I can do what I want now if I were to become one. Let's go.
Go do that.
And he's so he whips his soldiers, so to speak, so effectively that if Huron's like, Henrik, we must flood this battlefield with bodies. And Henrik will be like, I understand. Men, throw yourselves onto their blades. And we'll just send thousands of his soldiers into the meat grinder. Just because.
Why not?
Yeah, so that's all the various personnel of the Red Corsairs and a bit of their culture. What do you think?
I don't know if culture is the term I'd use to describe this, but sure.
It's
more like they all hate each other and they just get along because it's convenient.
They are extremely allies of convenience. Anytime Huron puts a raid together, he's basically Tommy Shelby from Peaky Blinders. No fighting. No fucking fighting. Our foe is a person we can fight. They're more powerful than us. We have to work together because we are scraps.
You don't need to fight each other. I've got plenty of things for you to kill.
But then as soon as one of his little client vessels decide to take advantage of another Red Corsair vessel being injured, Huron will be like, oh my god, and just blows up their vessel with mines he put there ahead of time.
Of course he does.
Well, if not him, one of his other allies will be like, all right, sir, I'll do this for you if it means you'll like me a bit more, and they'll just go beat them up. It's very dog-eat-dog, quite literally, in some aspects area of the Maelstrom. It's just not good. They don't even work as a cohesive whole. It's great. But they have heaps of other auxiliary forces. They have various trader guard. They got various like astropathic choirs. They've got some dread blades just sitting on their vessels waiting to go do stuff. They've got what are known as Helldrake flights, where they basically got a chicken coop full of Helldrakes ready to go fly out of the vessel when need be. It's just take your pick of what flavor of chaos.
Chicken coop full of Helldrakes.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Oh, fuck.
Fucking hell. So that's Red Corsairs in a nutshell. You want to take a look on the...
Crazy.
You want to take a look at the other Corsairs I've mentioned, the Aeldari Corsairs?
Yeah. We got to talk about the bad guys, right?
Sure, Johnny. The bad guys. Sure, Johnny. So the thing about the Aeldari Corsairs is that they're strangely like noble, because despite them being like pirates and doing piratical things, they're still from a relatively refined culture. Take your pick of what that means. And so a lot of them will have these sort of princely or princess like demeanors and reputations. For example, Prince Yriel, except he actually is a prince. More on him in a sec. So various Imperial forces and other Aeldari forces will be like, oh, it's the Prince Jade Serpent. It's, the King blah, blah, blah. It's Lady Hoo-Hoo,
Yeah.
But they'll just sort of do whatever they want, in a sense. They basically chafe at the restriction. They chafe at the craft world's whole Jedi meditation way of life. They chafe at the Drakari's just systematic cycle of torture and backstabbing. They chafe at the Harlequins just being little goobers. They chafe at the Exodites going back and being rustic druids in the woods. They're just like, nah, I can't do that all day long. That sucks. And so all of them that I just mentioned will be any amount of the individuals in the Corsairs. They are all walks of life working together. But because there's sort of white flag in amongst all the cultures, they sort of get away with whatever they also want to do. Because, some Corsairs will help craft worlds recover spirit stones. Some will go and capture Xenos beasts and then go sell it to the witch cults of Comora. they will help Harlequins go to their next stage in the next city over for their performance, you know? They'll just be like, whatever you need, we'll do it for a price, but we'll do it. And they'll be hired by other races as well, very frequently, the Imperium. But some people also think the Corsairs are a bit of a reputational risk if you present yourself as evil pirates to the Imperium. What's not to make them think that, say, the craft worlds are all full of evil people? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yep.
If you make them think that the Aeldari in those sleek, dark vessels are relatively good allies, then the next time you see Drakari ships in your orbit, you'll be like, hey, it's our friends again. Oh, no.
Oh no, someone else paid them.
But when it comes to Corsairs, they are the fastest force of the Aeldari in terms of like void warfare. They don't usually have the potency of manpower. And so what they'll do is mainly just void battles and sort of void actions. They will go extremely fast and cripple ships and board the ships and take the loot and get out of dodge before anyone knows what's up. And they might do that a few times, just picking them off as carry-on, because they're usually not very plentiful. And they're not going to go into a ground war or anything like that. But that's sort of the Corsairs culture in a nutshell. Any questions?
No, not so far. Corsairs are pretty... They're just mercenaries for hire, right?
Sure. Unlike the Red Corsairs, the Aeldari Corsairs don't get a whole lot of lore in this book. It's sort of like a more of an encyclopedic entry rather than a deep dive into them. But we do get little bits and pieces of the Eldritch Raiders, which is Prince Yriel's mob, Karseth, the new chick on the block, Prince Yriel, Sky Reavers, Vipers. Like, we get a little bit of all of that.
Yep.
So the Eldritch Raiders are Prince Yriel's exiled lords. Prince Yriel himself is one of the nobility of Craftworld Ianden. Craftworld Ianden was once upon a time in this protracted conflict with a Chaos Lord that Prince Yriel decided we need to get him dead. And so in doing so, he drove a crippling blow to the Chaos Lord. But the Chaos Lord's final actions was to send all of his ordnance into the craft world, which led to the death of a little too many people. A bit too many people died in that engagement. And so a lot of the ruling elite of Ianden were like, Yriel, that was dumb. And now we've got nobody fucking left on this place. And so Yriel was like, look, I did what had to be done. If I didn't kill him then, we would have been dead later. Capiche? Well, fine then. I will just go do my own thing if you don't want me to do what I want to do. And all of his various allies on the craft world that really believed in him and thought he was onto something, they just hopped in some boats and were like, you know what? F this. F you guys. We're just going to go do our own thing. And became the Eldritch Raiders and became more or less the most powerful and infamous of the Aeldari Corsair fleets. But they're rather good aligned. They routinely are coming to Ianden's defense and helping them with things because they're still Iandens. They are routinely seen as docking in with the craft world to touch base and give them spirit stones and help them out because Ianden is kind of a ghost town. They're the craft world that fights with mainly the Wraith constructs because everyone died. It's a bit of a end of the line kind of craft world where everyone needs to pretty much adapt to a new way of being. It's kind of sad actually.
Yeah.
But Prince Yriel has the Spear of Twilight, which is one of the crone swords of old.
Oh, here we go. Crone swords.
Here we go. The thing about the Spear of Twilight though is it slowly kills him over time. It's really powerful, but it saps his life force because it's quite literally a bone of a god. And then at some point he died. He did die. He got dead. His reflexes got a bit old and a bit more, lagging behind, and so died. But then he got better because he was introduced to someone known as Yvraine.
I was going to say he died and then he got better.
He died and got better because he has a friend called Yvraine. And we all know who Yvraine is.
Yeah, it's that chick that did the thing. It's girly man's girlfriend, right?
Absolutely. But Yriel really doesn't trust her because she sees a craft world full of dead souls, and that's really fun for the cult of death that she really tries to push. And so Yriel's like, I don't like this woman. She's got an undeniable gift, but I think we are just going to be pawns to her plan that may or may not work. And Craftworld Ianden's like, we don't really have a choice. We're basically dead people. We don't have that many people left, dude. And then Yriel's like, well, fine. I've said my piece. You do what you want. I'm out of here. And on his way out the door, the Mask of the Midnight Sorrow.
Oh, here we go.
There we go. It was like, excuse me, Lord. Hey, so we know of some race-defining weaponry and artifacts that will really help the species survive and thrive, but it's in the Maelstrom. Can we go there together? And Yriel's like, yeah, fine, whatever, hop on, let's go. And that's kind of where the plot is with those guys. They're now in the Maelstrom doing their thing, having a look-see around.
I mean, good on them for being around.
Good on them for still being here. You do have a new character called Karseth, who, from how it's written, seems to be a non-binary individual, which is very cool. There's not a lot of personality ascribed to Karseth. No one really knows what they look like, because they are what's known as a void dreamer or an ethermancer. They are a psyker who is basically overstimulated beyond compare, because their flavor of warp power is they are aware of the energy of everything. They are aware of the auras of people. They are aware of the fabric of reality, the warp, how it moves, how space vessels are drifting through the ether, the power sources of spacecraft. Like, they're just so in tuned. They're seeing in 5D. And Karseth is the best one. They are able to basically direct all of the Eldritch Raiders through the Maelstrom without really any issue, because they can see all the funky wonky stuff before it's too late.
Yeah.
And Karseth has that big helmet, the big bug helmet, as I like to call it. And what this is, it's basically a sensory deprivation helmet. When they are upon the battlefield, it's closing up, or not closing up, but it's limiting their ability to hear and see and smell, because battlefields pushes Void Dreamers like over the edge. They cannot handle it. They are having a bad trip, you know? There's too much sensory information.
Sensory overload.
And so Karseth pushes themselves to the extreme to be upon the battlefield, able to be aware of ambushes before it occurs, pull people around conflicts through, pathways that other people have no idea if it leads anywhere good. And the fact that Karseth does all of this, like on battlefields and stuff, makes people think that Yriel has them in some sort of debt or captivity-esque pact, because no Void Dreamer would do that. It's just a life of sensory pain. But who knows? We don't know. Karseth has one page of lore, quite literally. They're new.
Aww.
They're a new character. We don't know much about them except what they can do.
Yep. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, if you want to understand Sky Reavers, they're just really fast-moving saboteurs. They don't really fight. They just fly around and pick things apart, disable defenses, etc. And then Starfangs, which is the Viper chassis, but different. All it really is, in a lore perspective, is the Aeldari Viper, but equipped with Drakari weaponry, such as the disintegration stuff and hallucinogen grenades and things of that nature. It's just Aeldari vehicle, Drakari weapon. What do you think so far, Jonny?
Okay.
What do you think of Aeldari Corsairs from what we've got here in this book?
Aeldari Corsairs are pretty cool.
And you prefer red Corsairs, yes?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You know how in the 500 Worlds we had the War for Nova Magnor that lasted like 30 pages?
Yep.
This book has a conflict, the raid on the Crimson Eyrie. It's 4 pages. It's a four-page
sure.
conflict, Corsairs v Corsairs. I can really summarize this into 2 dot points.
Cool, do it.
Basically, Corsair v Corsair. Yriel wanted to save some Elia Toki, different craft world, prisoners, soulstones, stuff like that. But the Red Corsairs fortress of the Crimson Eyrie where they were raiding. Coincidentally, Huron was there at the same time. Oh no. So,
oh no.
The thing about the Eldritch Raiders and having Karsef being like a little spy master is that they were able to get really close and then move extremely fast and crippled the vast majority of defenses and vessels before the Red Corsairs could really mobilize. The Aeldari were able to board the Crimson Eyrie, save the prisoners, everyone gets back onto their boats and tries to get away, except Huron was like, nah, this is making me feel really embarrassed and I'm not for it. Fire on that one. And the second in command flagship, the Jade Chris, was essentially harpooned from giant defensive harpoons, I guess. There's no other way to really describe it, I think. And all of his slaves were just slowly reeling in these massive harpoons. There was boarding torpedoes loaded with Red Corsairs shot into the Jade Chris, poking holes through the Wraithbone constructs. Huron himself used his sorceress to teleport him into the Jade Chris. His teleportation opened a rift, vibrated through the vessel, and the warp was like, yummy, yummy Aeldari stuff. And so demons poured into it. The warp started to pull the ship apart. Huron himself grabbed the captain of the ship by the head with his giant claw and then turned on his hand flamer whilst holding them by the head. And then Yriel was like, holy fuck, I should go and save it. No, wait, that means we would all die. Gotta run. Bye. Job done, but I lost my second most important vessel doing it. Fuck you, Huron. That was the conflict. The beginning, middle, and end of it, with a lot of that sort of play-by-play. The Raiders did their thing. The Sky Reavers did their thing. The Starfangs did their thing.
What else we got? Anything else in this book?
There's a couple of things at the very end. So we had setup of the setting, the denizens of the setting, a lot of Corsair stuff, a little bit of a conflict. And then the very end is done like a bunch of journal entries with lots of pages with typography, handwriting style fonts across a few pages. And it's all just horrifying short stories or microfictions from all just different perspectives of things across the Maelstrom. A couple of my more standout ones was the Crimson Rain, a sort of warp storm that is just blood rain, that when it laps onto the ships that are going through it, it causes vox interference, servitors just start screaming, astropaths are tearing the cables out of their heads and disconnecting themselves from the ships really brutally. Yeah, there are areas of the Maelstrom where astropaths describe that as they're going through the areas of space, they can hear demons tapping on the windows next to them. There are people behind them whispering over their shoulders about dark bargains and pacts, but no one's actually there. Real spooky stuff. There's a story where a Geller field in a ship was failing, so a bunch of engineers went down there to go fix it. And then a bit later, they decide some other people to go investigate what the weird sounds were, only to find that the Geller field operator had been turned into this humongous flesh metal monstrosity, this woman who had been empirically pulled apart and bonded with the Geller field and basically became this humongous dead space abomination that was at the heart of the ship, like a giant cancerous growth. And then the ship was mysteriously vanished after that somehow. And then the last one that I really liked was the world of Tuvendis, which is in the Mournhollow, a world that had been cracked apart, its core exposed as crimson essence bleeding from the cracks in the planet from which leathery winged demons fly out from to harass vessels in orbit. Nearby, there's another world, which is a dense miasma of fleshy continents, dense swamps, but below all of that are lost imperial hive cities that have this sort of Atlantis below the muck aesthetic, yet on the world's highest peak, a humongous shadowy demon lord is sitting upon a shadowy throne watching everyone try and get onto the planet to go investigate the hive cities, only to be consumed by the planet itself. And so there's like maybe a dozen more of those, but those are my more standout ones. Yeah, Maelstrom's great, eh?
Yeah, sure.
Sure. Are you feeling a bit icky right now?
A small bit, but it's all right.
Small bit. The tapping on the spacecraft windows really gave me a little shudder when I read it.
Yes, yeah, it sure did.
Sure did. I could imagine you just sort of tensing. I said that one. Maelstrom. What were your favorite aspects of this lore primer, Johnny?
I kind of dug all of the backstabbing a little bit. Like everyone's ready, or everyone has a knife to everyone else's back. I thought that was kind of hilarious. Like it's so piratey, and the flavor of the pirates is so piratey, and I really dig that.
What would you like to see more from this area?
I don't really know. It feels like it covered the pirate vibes in whatever factions pretty much could fairly easily.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? It's sort of a question of, does this area need to become more of a plot-driven place? Do we need Huron and his cohorts to go out and do things? I mean, they already have. There are, as I said before, novels where they do things. And there's the whole Badab thing, which is a couple of tomes of Imperial Armor, old Forge World supplements that cover it all. Like, he has stuff. Do we need him to do more in the future? Probably not. Having just this perpetual threat in the region, I think, is enough, right?
Yeah, I think so. But no, I think it's the only question I do have is there something at the end of this book similar to what we saw with the first one?
There is. So,
okay.
With all of the whole Primaris reinforcement things, Guilliman decrees that the various chapters that by and large turned traitor at the end of the Badab War, those that decided not to turn traitor were basically censured with this eternal crusade, like crusade till you die or 200 years pass and we'll let you rebuild. That kind of thing was going on. And so Mantis warriors, I think Lamenters, poor guys, and maybe the Executioners, I'll have to double check. But these 3 chapters, Guilliman was like, Imperium. those are very hardened warriors of the Imperium right there that are just trying to do their best. How about we reinforce them with Primaris and we give them one last crusade mission, to appease you guys in giving them punishment, but to make sense of them doing something. Let us send them the 3 whole chapters, or 4, whatever it was, into the Maelstrom to go do something about it. Send all of them, the whole chapters in. That would be nice. And basically this forgiveness of these chapters to allow them to go and do Badab again is something that a few of the Inquisitors of Terra like, that's unforgivable. He can't do that. They were being punished. Giving them more numbers is not a punishment. That's a forgiveness. Guilliman. He's getting too big for his britches.
Oh my God.
Good thing that we, a shadowy cabal of individuals, have a countermeasure ready for the Imperial upstart Guilliman.
Imperial upstart?
Yeah, they think Guilliman's there to tear down everything that they built up and take the Imperium for himself. When the man's just like, can I please just be allowed to create stability in your fucking war zones? So yeah, it's teased a little bit in 500 Worlds, but the end of Maelstrom ascribes this skepticism and distrust of Guilliman to a sort of sub-order of the Inquisition known as the Ordo Astartes. So not Ordo Xenars, not Ordo Hereticus, but the Ordo Astartes, whose job is to basically watch out for the renegade chapters and make sure the Imperium chapters are not renegading and doing mean things. So they see Guilliman doing things like that, like the traders of Badab, forgiving them, but then sending them back into the Maelstrom, which could be considered just throwing away resources to the pirates because they'll be killed or something, as plotting against the Imperium. So, yeah. So that's the end page, is these transmissions between people of like, Guilliman's getting too big for his jorts, his ultra jorts.
He's literally bigger than all of you. Calm down. Daddy E's son. He's essentially Jesus in this setting, and they're just like, let's go stick him on a cross.
Well, he was resurrected and then horrified at what everything had become, but he had to, bite his tongue quite a lot and, not change things too quickly because that would obviously not go very well. But like with his whole Ultramarine reclamation thing with the Tetrarchs and forcing a bit of Space Marine law and order, and then forgiving the Badab traders who weren't the traitorous components of, to just go and redeem themselves. Like these two things are making the Order of Astartes be like, no. But they weren't around 10,000 years prior to see when Guilliman picked up all the pieces after everything, right?
Oh, mate. And that's the thing, right? All these people are just like, but he's stronger than me, so I have to knock him down a peg.
Yeah, basically. I really want Guilliman to be threatened by all these, or better yet, Guilliman's meeting up with the Lion. This is seen as a power grab by the Primarchs of old. The Order of Astartes does a whole Inquisition ambush, and then Guilliman's like, this is absolutely fucked, gets on his burner phone, calls Cypher, and asks him to go assassinate people.
Wait, who calls Cypher?
This hasn't happened. This is what I want to happen. I want Guilliman to call up his old buddy Cypher and be like, get him, kid. I hate these kids. I hate these fools.
Only to realize he's in the wrong codex.
I know, but Cypher broke Guilliman out of prison.
Yeah, but that's because Cypher's a bit of a renegade.
All Cypher wants to do is have a little chit-chat with the Emperor. That's all. That's all he wants to do.
Yeah, he just wants to get close enough, right?
That's all he wants to do. Nothing bad will happen, I swear.
Who knows?
True. Well, I mean, Cypher's currently stalking a custodian through the rift, so I don't know what he's up to anymore.
Who knows with Cypher? And I don't even know if Cypher knows what Cypher is up to.
You know our beloved author John French, known for Dropsite Massacre?
Yeah.
He wrote a Cypher novella.
Oh, did he?
Like 6 or 7. Oh, shit. Hours long.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a novella.
6 or 7 hours long. No, sorry. You lose me at spending that much for a credit.
Well, at the time of recording, there's a humongous Audible sale where things are like $4 or $5 mostly. Valador.
That's pretty cool.
The book where Yriel defends Iandan from Tyranids is only $4.01. He Who Fights with Monsters, Book 2, is only $5.57.
See, that's worth it because it's like 18 hours long.
Book Talk Sensation, Fourth Wing is only $5. Hey, that Aaron Dembski Bowden Night Lords book I mentioned's $5.18. Wowie wow.
Nice.
All right, Johnny. Any closing remarks on this lovely episode?
It's pretty neat. I really like what they're doing with this whole end of edition, moving through the different settings and kind of like giving an update on what's going on in each of these regions. That seems to be the way they're handling this, at least, is kind of set up for 11th edition. But no, I'm really enjoying it. The Corsairs theme was very fun. It was a pretty cool reveal, and I'm pretty keen to see what is coming in the future. We do have Iron Warriors coming out of the warp in the very near future, and we will be talking about that one real soon, too.
I'm very curious to hear about old Petertron's Infinite Citadel shtick that Warhammer community teased, hey?
Yeah, there was definitely a potential, maybe Peter Turbo is finally getting off his chair.
Mate, Heresy, he was Peter Turbo. Seeing that artwork, he's, to me, Peter Tron now.
That is a very cool piece of artwork.
Yeah, I was jaw agape when I saw that. I love Warhammer community. You know, you'll have these reveal shows that pop out and there'll be technical problems and they're like, here's a Lumineth elf for Underworlds. You're like, yeah, okay. And then next week there'll be like Warhammer community article on a Tuesday night. Here's Perturabo, and you're like, oh, oh, okay.
Yep. It's really, you really got to keep an eye on those Warhammer community articles because they'll drop things with no idea what's going on elsewhere, and you'll just be like, oh my god, that was left field.
Did you see the reel I sent you where someone made a funny with that art piece, and it's the conversation between the two Skitarii at the front, like, brother, what was the plan here? Well, to be honest, I didn't think we'd make it this far. And then Perturabo's like, good thing I brought this hammer because you are looking like nails.
Oh, that hurts my soul. Because you're looking like nails.
Yeah, it's just like, so what was the plan? I didn't think we'd get this far. Oh, mate. All right. Well, story time will be back in the future with either the Iron Warrior stuff, or maybe I'll read those old Imperial armors and give you the play-by-play of the Bad Ab War, huh? Why not?
Sure.
Oh, would you want Bad Ab War, Johnny? Or is your Huron cup full?
No, we could do Bad Ab War.
Bad Ab War has some of the fan favorite chapters, including the Minotaurs. Bad Ab is like 40k's heresy. It like so many chapters were there, bad guys and good guys. It's quite something. This is where the Caradons sort of came into it. The Red Scorpions, you've probably seen a lot of iconography for them over the years. They were there. They were like the head honchos of the good guys. The Minotaurs were there, which everyone loves. A good little Asterian Moloch is perhaps the strongest space marine ever.
Oh no.
And he was there. So, it's got some fun chapters you don't hear much about these days.
No, that sounds pretty exciting. We could do that, sure.
Nice. All right, cool. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Oh, you too.